Hi everyone, Karen here. Today I have a card for you that kind of started off as a happy accident. I made a dome card that actually folds flat. And this will also fold flat. So I want to give you the directions today, and it's really simple the way this goes together. So let me show you what I have. So I'm going to have a frame. This time I'm going to make it orange. And to make the frame, I have two nesting dies that are one size smaller than the other. I then have a 6 3/4 by 4 3/4 I'm going to put on the front of the card. And this front piece here needs to be 6 by 7, and we're going to score that at 1/4, 1/2, 6 1/2, and 6 3/4. I have my 5 by 7 card base, and I have a 4 1/2 by 7 that I'm going to ink to make it a background. I have a message for the inside, which is on a 3 by 5. So that makes this 3 1/4 by 5 1/4. Now the sets I'm going to be using, let me bring these in. Let's start with the carnival one. So it's this carnival set. Now these are all kind of small pieces. There's a carousel, a Ferris wheel, some trees, and this building, which I can't remember what they call that one. So I'm going to cut that out of a 4 1/2 by 3. And as you can see, it doesn't go all the way to the end, so we'll cut that when we get to that. I also have a 1 1/2 by 4 1/2, which I'm going to make a little hill in the front of this. Now this is the piece that's going to make our hot air balloon flop around here. And this is a 1 by 5, and it's going to be scored at 1/2, 1, 1 1/2, 2, then 3, 3 1/2, 4, and 4 1/2. And we'll get to that in a second. So then I also have cut out, let me put this away, the tickets here. So the dies, this ticket here is in one piece. That's that one here. And then this one here, the one piece cuts out the outside, like this. And then there is a layer which goes on top here. Now on this card here, I did it tone on tone, 2 different shades of red. So this time I'm going to do totally different contrasting colors. This piece here, I have clouds. Now I am going to make some other clouds using the carnival set, but I did want some bigger clouds, and so I thought those were a good size for the card I'm doing. So the last die set I want to talk about is the hot air balloon. Now when we look at it, you can see there's the hot air balloon, and then you have all these other little pieces here. So this piece and this piece make the basket. These, let me bring in the one I made, are the 2 sticks that hang down. Now the rest of it is decoration for the hot air balloon. Now you don't have to put every bit of decoration on every hot air balloon. See this one here, I just put the swags, and that was fine. This time around, I'm going to use the crosshatch. Whoops, where'd it go? The crosshatch piece. But they give you a lot of choices here. There's a smaller swag. There's also this piece here. And there's an antenna on top, which I'm not going to put an antenna on the top of mine. Because I didn't put it on the top of this one, and I think that looks fine without the antenna. Alright, so I think that, I also have some gems. And the 2 ink colors I'm going to be using are a Quick Dry Jet Black from Crafter's Companion, and I'm going to use the Gina K Tangerine Twist, because I thought that matched the orange I have really well. Alright, so that is everything I have here. Alright, well let's start by preparing this front piece here. So I'm going to bring in my scoreboard. Now I want to lay this along the 6-inch side. And I'm going to score this at 1/4, 1/2. Now if you want to, you can just move your hand over here, and you're going to go at 5 1/2 and 5 3/4. But I find it easier to just flip it over and go down 1/4 and 1/2 again. Now if you're right-handed, you may find it easier to do it on the other side. Either way, we just need those 2 lines. Now the next thing I want to do is I want to get ready to put this piece on here. Now this is the 4 3/4 by 6 3/4. That's going to go here in the center. Now I'm just going to take a little bit of stick glue and I'm just going to put that in the middle because I just need to temporarily hold this piece down. Now I want this in the center where I'm going to put it on the card. And there we go. And the reason I'm using a stick glue is I don't want to use a wet glue and then put it through my machine and have it ooze all over the place. But a little dry stick glue like this is really handy. I don't use a lot of tape runners, so I don't have one. So I use this instead. So now I need my 2 dies that I'm going to make my frame with. So to make the frame, I'm going to use both these dies together. But to make the hole, I want to take the smaller die that I have, place it in the center, and die cut that out. So I'm going to find the place that makes me happy and put down my temporary tape, whichever kind is your favorite. And I'm going to run this through my machine. Alright, so this has cut all the way through, both layers of paper. Carefully lift this off. Now the glued piece I have in the middle is underneath here, the part that I don't need. Put that to the side. So now I will need to take the 2 pieces together. Let me flip them upside down this way so I can get them spaced out properly. And I like doing it on the mat instead of the paper because I've tried, when I do it on the paper, sometimes it slides around on you. But when you do it on here, it doesn't slide. Silicone is great because it doesn't slide. Glass has its place, and I do like a glass mat. I have one. But when you want something to not slide around on you, silicone is a really good choice. So now I will just cut this out. Alright, so now we have our frame. Alright, now I'm going to glue these 3 pieces together. And just use whatever your favorite glue is, doesn't really matter. Everybody has a preference with their glue. But you do want to make sure you get all the way up to the edge, because when you start bowing this, it will separate if you don't have it glued all the way to the edge. I will take the frame, put a little glue around that. Here we go. Alright, now I want to fold my edges. I want these kind of loose. There we go. Okay, so this piece is all ready to go. So now let's talk about our background. So this is the 4.5 by 7, and I am going to ink this up with some shades of blue. So I decided to use Oasis and Ocean Blue. Alright, so first I'm just going to lay down some of this lighter Oasis. Alright, now for the Ocean Blue, I'm just going to pick some up and go around the outside here, just to give it a little bit of depth. And I think that's probably enough, just like that. So that is now finished. Alright, so next, let's talk about the front of the card here. Let me bring in my first one I made again. So you can see down here, I have the carousel and the Ferris wheel and some trees and some grass. Now, I needed it to be 4.5 across. But as you can see, the die didn't go that far. So all I'm going to do is take a little pair of scissors. And now notice these are teeny tiny little waves. So I'm going to mimic that. And just kind of keep going. I'm just going to move my paper around. I'm going to come to the other side here. And I'm just going to make some tiny little waves. And just keep going until I meet it up and my little extra pieces fall out. Alright, so now this piece is all done. I just need to ink and color. So now I want to decide where I want to put this hill. So I'm thinking I am just going to take this And I'm going to put more of a wavy hill on the bottom here. Just some big waves. Let's see, let me round that end off. And that's it. That's all I need to do here. Now I need to ink these up. All right, so I have Grasshopper here. Now I'm just going to start inking this up. Just get it all colored. So this is just going to be some grass. I'm going to make the top a little darker. And there we go. I'm going to do the same thing with the top. I have to be a little more careful. I don't want to get it on the merry-go-round. So we'll go around here. Here we'll go underneath. Now I am going to color the bottom of the merry-go-round with a darker blue, so it will cover any teeny little mistakes that I make. And since yellow and blue do make green, it'll blend in just fine. That is all I need here. There we go. That is done. All right, so let's bring in the markers, and I've just grabbed a few here. I've grabbed some primary colors and some gold and some brown and some green and a gray. Now the gray here I'm going to use on the little horses here. These are small. I didn't want to color in detail on these because these are so small. So we're just going to make them gray. I'm going to come across the bottom here. And I'm just going to finish off where I think the platform should be. So I'm just going to go around like that. Just kind of finish it off. You see here, there's a hole here where this little star is. So what I want to do is I'm going to grab a little piece of paper. And I'm going to see how big of a paper I need here. And I'm just going to color that yellow. Now in the first one I did, I left that open and I put the yellow behind there just to cover the star. But I think I want to cover both this time. So what I'm thinking I'm going to do, take my scissors, I'm going to cut a straight line here on the bottom where it's colored. Yeah, I think that will look better. So now I'm going to put some glue on the back of the carousel. And this is a very lightweight paper. It just makes it easier if it's lightweight. I'm going to put some glue across here and here. Let me dab that down a little bit. We don't need that much. And I'm going to cover it all with what I've colored. Right like that. Now I'll take my little scissors and just cut around it. So now the carousel is more solid. Get one little snip here. Now if you didn't want a fussy cut around the whole thing, another way you could have done this was to just put a little strip of paper across the back and then die cut it out again in yellow, and then just paper piece those two pieces back in. Now let's talk about the Ferris wheel. I'm going to color the tops, use the other end, the tops red. Alright, so now we have to decide where we're going to place everything. So this will be on the front of the card like this. Now, the trees, let me bring this in a little bit. We have these for clouds, and then we have the trees. So let me color a couple trees. I will probably use 3. These will simply be green on top. Now I want to show you something about these trees. If you take your little scissors and you cut the trunk off, you now have yourself some little clouds. So we can have some little clouds for the background here. I already have one cut here, so that's probably enough. But the other thing you can do with these, if you cut off the trunk, color them green, and I am using a darker green for this. There's one. Let me grab another one. And one more. I'm going to cut the trunks off. And then I'm going to cut them down the middle. And now you have shrubs, which are the perfect size. So now I have 6 shrubs and 3 trees. Right, so now we can start gluing all this down, making our little scene here. Alright, so first I'm going to glue this down to the front. And to give it a little bit of dimension, I'm just going to take a piece of 1/16 foam and only go across the top. And this will just give our little hills a little bit of distance. But I'm going to glue the bottom down flat. I know I do this a lot on my cards. So we're just going to bring this down, maybe a little bit more. Alright, there we go. There is my hill. Just like that. Okay, so now we decide where we want the Ferris wheel and our shrubs. I think I'm going to put a couple shrubs and a couple trees. Let's see, we can put a tree over here. We can put a tree over here. So maybe one over here. I think I want to bring this closer to the center, because what I want to check, let me grab my front piece here. When this comes down, so it's going to block some of this over here where it's going to be behind the frame. So I want to make sure the Ferris wheel is not going to be behind the frame. So I'm going to put that right here. And I'm going to put it down far enough down the hill that portion of the Ferris wheel is on the background, so it has a little bit of support. So there we go, like that. Alright, now the trees and things, I don't care if they are hanging off behind the frame, because they're just, you know, a little fill in here. So let's start putting some of these in. Okay, that looks pretty good. Alright, let's bring in the front again. Yep, that fills it up quite nicely. There we go. All right, so now we have our clouds. We have our background. Now we need to work on our hot air balloon. So this is the base for the hot air balloon. Now we have the pieces for the bottom of the basket. And this is the top of the basket. All right, so let me bring in the die for this. Because you'll notice on these two pieces, there is a bit here you can either emboss or you can ink over that to give the bottom of the basket a little bit of detail. So let me pull these off. And I'm just going to do this with black. So I'm just going to lay the pieces back into the dies. And I'm just going to take my 0.8 art pen and just go over that hole, back and forth until I see it's nice and dark. Let's see if that one's enough. That one's enough, and that one's enough. I'm just going to put a little more here. There we go. All right, so now we have these two little sticks for the basket. And that is this die here. That cuts out the two skinny little pieces that we're going to hang attached to these two pieces and make it a basket. So I found it easier to just kind of lay these two out and pick them up instead of trying to place them on the basket. So I'm going to put some glue on here. And I'm just going to lay this where I want it and just tap and pick it up. Do the same thing with the other side. A little glue. Hold it where I want it to be and tap. Now I can make sure they're straight. So now for the top piece here, I'm just going to put some glue across the top here. I'm going to lay that down. Take the top piece and lay it down. Here we go. Flip it over, make sure I have enough overlap here that it's supported. And there you go. So now the balloon simply sits like this. Now you can change this to have a little or more hanging off the bottom as you want. And actually my first card, I actually cut the tip of it off, so it didn't hang under at all. There's no piece hanging here. Because if you look on the packaging, you can see it hangs there a little bit. I just cut it off on that one. I may cut it off on this one. Alright, so I'm just going to hold the base and kind of lay that down. And at this time I just kind of put it down a little bit more to where you can't see the bottom. Alright, so now for this one, I chose the little cross hatch here. So that's this piece here. And that's all I'm going to put on here. Now the top, there is a wider and a thinner one. So I'm going to line that up where that needs to go. Because this one will be the other way. Figure out where these are going to go. That will be here. This one will be about here. And I'm just going to glue those down. So there you go. Alright, now I also have some little flags that you can put on the top. You can put them on the top. You can put them down here. I think I will put one up here. And I'll put one down on the basket. trying to decide. I think I do want to have them all going to one side, because if the wind was blowing, it would be blowing this flag in this direction. So I think they need to be like that. And then the other one will be on top. I think we'll bring it down a little bit. And there we go. Okay, so that is done. Alright, so the next piece we need to talk about is this one here. Okay, so this is the 1x5, and what we're going to do is we're going to score it at a half, at 1, 1.5, 2, then we're going to go over to 3, and then go back to 1/2 inch. So we're going to go 3.5, 4, and 4.5. So let me say that one more time. So a half, 1, 1.5, 2, 3, 3.5, 4, 4.5. Now what this does, we're going to start with a valley fold, and then alternate valley, mountain, valley, mountain. Or actually, depending on which side you're looking at it. So you just want to fold it zigzag to where you end up like that. And then once you get to the 3, then you're going to fold that back, forward, back, and forward. And we'll give it some good creasing. There we go. So we end up with a piece that looks like this. So what we're going to do here is this 1-inch square here is going to get glued to the balloon. That just goes in the middle. Now I did cut this out of blue, so it will blend into the blue sky. That's the only reason why this is blue. Alright, so now we have our little spring. Alright, so now we can start constructing the front of our card. So let's grab our card base. And we're going to glue down the 4.5x7 that we colored into a sky. Alright, so now we have our piece here that we cut the frame out of the middle, and we have our 1/4 inch score lines on either side. Now those are folded all the way down to where it looks like this. Just like that. So we're going to put glue along this side here. Now if you want to at this time, you can bend the middle of this card a little bit, give it a little love so it knows you want it to curve. Just like that. And I am going to line this up with the edge of the card. You want this flush. So when you fold your card down and the edge of the card you put the glue on should all match flush with the edge of your card. Just give that a second to dry and grab before we do the other side. Now at this time I'm going to open this up and give that a second to dry. This is a good time to glue in your front part here. So I'm going to put some glue on here. You can put it in afterwards, but it's a little harder to slide in there. So I'm going to slide this in now. I'm going to gently pull this back. And this is going to slide right in here. You want to make sure you don't put it on your fold here, because remember, I'll show you in a second as soon as I place this in here. There we go. Alright, so we have our fold here. Okay, you want to make sure you don't glue that down. So this is going to sit in between here, like that. Alright, so that looks like it's grabbed hold really good. So now I'm going to come to the other side. Again, this part that's sticking out here, the bottom of my L, if you want to say it looks like a little L sticking out, I'm going to put glue on here. And this will be flush with the other side. Now at this point you want to give your card a press and make sure when you press it down it does go flat. But then when you open it, that bows out. And the more, once it's dried, you can kind of give it a little more press here, and it will learn that you do want it folded, and it will get the idea. And once the paper learns that's what you want it to do and you've got the fibers bent, it will bow as soon as you open it up and make the dome card. But it still folds flat, and then it pops up. See, the more you play with it at this point and teach it what you want it to do, the more it springs forward. Okay, so now at this point we can put in our balloon. So that's going to go in here. And see, that way it makes it look like it's floating above everything. We do need to make sure that we do leave room for our tickets that we're going to make here in a second. So if the one ticket is going to come over here, and the one is going to be over here, maybe I want to put it on this side and this side, because I don't want to cover the Ferris wheel. Now you could only put one on here if you wanted to. So that means I want to put my balloon. Now the wind is pushing it from this direction because our flags are going that way. So I can tip it that way and have it about here. I think that will look good. Okay. So now for this, I'm going to put glue on both sides of this. Okay. Now I want to make sure these are closed and together when I turn this over. So you are going to get glue on your hands when you do this. I have not figured out a way to do this and not get glue on my hands. But you're just going to find the spot you want to put your balloon and press down. And then, once that's all dry, it will pop up. Just make sure you didn't get glue anywhere you don't want the glue. And there we go. That is now springy. So now we can decide where we want clouds. I may just put the little clouds on here. So I have them big clouds that were from the airplane. Let's see if we want any big clouds. Maybe up here. And some smaller clouds down here. Now if you wanted to at this point, you absolutely could use one of the bigger clouds and tuck it all the way underneath there. And that will help hide your mechanism in the back if you wanted to. So maybe we can do that. And that's probably good. I think 3 clouds is probably enough. Okay. I guess if you wanted to, you could put a little cloud on top of that, and since I smudged it a little bit, I think I will. Remember, these were the tops of our trees, so you could put, 2 clouds on top of each other. Okay, so that is all done. So now, let me put the glue away for a minute and get out the stamping platform. Alright, so the 3 tickets I need to stamp are this one here. And I'm going to put this one here just so I can make sure I'm going in the right direction. So we will stamp the yellow and this one here. Now this is from this set that has all the stamps. So when I take the stamp set out, you'll see that there is a tiny Admit 1 down here, and that is the smallest Admit 1. And that is what fits on this tear off part of this ticket. So we'll get that in the middle. Now I'm going to put birthday celebrations on this one, so that way the ticket reads birthday celebrations, admit 1. Because I put cotton candy wishes and carnival dreams on this one. So I think I want to put something different on this one, just so I have 2 different cards. So how about if I put all the fun of the fair? I think I'll put that one on here. And we'll stamp this. Alright, I think that looks good. Now, if you wanted that to be bolder, you absolutely could use black pigment ink and then heat emboss over the top of it, and that would also make it stand out a little bit more if you wanted to. Alright, so let's put this to the side. Okay, let's get our tickets glued together here. So that will be there. The admit 1 will go this way. There we go. So that gives you a totally different look than the tone on tone. Completely up to you. Alright, so now we have to decide. First, let me bring in the inside of my card, because I'm going to do both of these at the same time. So I'm going to bring in the orange tangerine twist I had. And I just want to put a little bit of edge on this white card, just to bring in the orange that I put on the outside to the inside of the card. It's not going to be a lot, just a little bit here. There you go, just like that. You know what, I may edge the outside of this too. Why not? Just gives it a little bit more of a finished look. Okay, that's it. Now these two will get glued together. Now that I glued these together, let me hold this up here, you can see how that edging just kind of makes it a little bit more finished. Okay, so let's bring in our card, our inside piece, and our 2 tickets. Now, definitely this is going on the inside, like this. Now the question is, do I just want to put one thing here on the outside and put this on the inside? Or do I want to put them both on the outside? I'm kind of leaning toward only putting the one out here on the outside and putting one on the inside. Now I'm trying to decide where I want to put it, because it is going to hang off the card. It's not going to be flush because of the dome, so we're only going to put one tiny little strip of glue on here to hold it in place. I'm kind of leaning toward just putting this down here. So what I'm going to do is I have to figure out where I want to attach this. So that's when it's going to be domed. And I'm thinking, I want to attach it more in the middle here. Yeah, I think I want to put the glue right here where the seam is, where your little perforation is. And that's the only place I'm going to attach that. So I just want to make sure my card, I'm flush with the bottom of my card here and here. Now I think I put glue too much up there. Let's see. I will just wipe off the extra glue here. Yeah, there we go. I'll just let that dry. See, now the reason why I did this is so now when this opens, that sits better on there. If you put glue on this end, it would kind of come up at a funny angle and you wouldn't be able to read it as easily. But now it will sit right there in the front. And that makes more sense. So a lot of times when you're gluing something on a dome card, you don't want to glue it all the way across, and you need to pick where's the best spot to glue it to where it makes sense for how you want it to sit on your card. Now just flip it up this way. You can kind of see what I'm talking about here. Yeah, because I think that will be much better when it sits. So now on the inside of the card, open it like this. This will go in the middle here, and I think this will go up top. So I like to make the insides of my cards 3x5 because that gives you plenty of room to print something and then still room to write your name. And then if you want to stamp something in the corner or go like this and put something on here, it still gives you enough room to do it. So this is just going to get glued down. And we're just going to kind of put it on the wonk for the inside of the card there. Alright, now I do want to put on a couple of gems, because I did put gems on this card that I did first. And I did like the way that looked. So let me grab my gems, which are right here. Now let me grab, let's see, now I have a yellow background here. So I'm thinking I want to do a red, a dark blue, and these are from Crafter's Companion Year of Craft. I think I want these three colors here. Because I have the orange here in the middle. So I think that's the colors I want. I kind of like that better. Alright, no green. Okay, so I'm going to put 3 gems right here. I probably will put the yellow one in the middle since that's a little lighter. See if I can do it without flipping it upside down. There we go. Now since I only put one ticket on the outside, I may put more gems on the top here. So let me see. I think I will put 3 on this side to match down here. Now I will say the one downside to a silicone mat is that the gems tend to stick to it because it is non-slip. So it's hard to use your pickup tool if you are using a silicone mat. So I'm just going to put these gems on here so I can pick them up. Alright, put that one here. Get another blue one. I think since the balloon is blue, I'll put a single blue one up here. And I'm going to say this is finished. So on the outside, we have birthday celebrations, emit 1, and our balloon will fold flat. And our whole card folds flat, and then when you take it out of the envelope, it bows. We can make a dome card, and then we have the inside. We put 1 ticket on the inside. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, give me a thumbs up, and please consider subscribing to my channel because every week I will have more cards. And until next time, stay crafty.